Alright folks, we have about a minute to go before our race starts. We'll be doing something a little different tonight. We've got a chat channel going on where I'm dialed in, so hopefully if there's something exciting going on, some of the drivers have called out for me. We only have about 4 other drivers in chat. Let me look again real quick. Yeah, we have about 4 other drivers in chat, but hopefully they'll keep me connected into what's going on. If you are watching this and you were one of our drivers, if you're interested in joining, we run a Discord chat, and you can sign up for Discord. You can join our chat. I will tell you how I'm doing it, and our practice laps are finishing up right now. But the way I am running the Discord chat is I actually have it running on my phone using a separate set of headphones while I listen to the race and announce, because what I didn't want to do was for you guys to hear all of the Discord chat over top of mine, so I'm not running it through my computer, I'm running it through my phone. Interesting how you can leverage multiple pieces of technology, but it's something you probably don't have to do yourself unless you're streaming. But if you are streaming, this might be a good way to do it. Of course, if you have streaming software where you can separate audio streams, like stream this audio stream and not this one, you probably wouldn't have that problem. I have no idea how to do that, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it separately. Tonight we are in Indianapolis. I was watching some of this, and it was very much seems to be a very fast track. I think our Mustangs are just going to be kind of blazing around this track. And as I look at the times, it looks like the Mustangs are 2 to 3 seconds faster than the Miatas, which isn't a crazy amount. I actually would expect it to be a little higher on this track. There are some tight turns that slow folks down, but for the most part, this track just kind of looks pretty fast. Still have some people going around the track, but practice is over, so the game will, magically plop them out pretty soon and put them at the start-finish line. We will be doing a 30-minute race tonight, rolling start. We're back to our 3-car setup. We have our Mustangs, our Volkswagens, and our Miatas. The loud ones are the Mustangs. I'm sporting a new second modder tonight. Not totally intentionally. It was kind of a consequence of my other modder dying unexpectedly. It was 6 years old or 7 years old. So, and they're on pretty much 24/7, so I guess it's to be expected. To run an event like this, I of course have my streaming software open. I have my YouTube software open so that I can make sure the YouTube stream is going and everything is okay there. I've got my webpage open where I'm posting to Facebook that the stream is live. Of course, we're running iRacing. I run Trading Paints, so you can see all the great paint wraps that these cars have. And I also run IRTVO, which is the one that gives us all these cool overlays that I use. I don't switch it around too much. I pretty much leave it set up as it is because I'm mostly focused on what is going on in this race and jumping around and doing different things. But we do have the pace car out, so tonight we will be doing a rolling start, as is pretty typical with the SCCA in Washington, D.C. region. rolling starts have been shown to be safer. If you watch some old footage back in the day, old SCCA starts like in the 90s when they did standing starts, you were much more likely to have significant incidents when those cars first started out. Now, that's not to say that turn one still isn't a crazy scenario where 30 cars try to fit in the space where 3 cars go, but it definitely, there's a lot of problems that are alleviated from these cars moving at the start-finish line. They're already going. Everybody steps on the gas. There's already some momentum there, and it doesn't get crazy. So telling pole position right now at this point is kind of difficult. We're looking at Michael Monaghan here. He was our fastest lap. He had about a 137. I don't know why it says 140 right now. But he had about a 137 something at the beginning. Oh, everybody says 140. They all reset at the start of our pace lap. As you see, our cars will be going around. They're going to follow the pace car. They're going to try and stay nice and packed up. So we take a look at the rear chase here. You can see they're a little spread out, but the cars should start packing up a little bit more so that they can be nice and close to the cars next to them as they come around. Right now, they're warming up their tires, they're warming up their brakes. Just in general, trying to get the car ready for the race, so that when you start the race, you're not fighting things like cold tires or cold brakes going into turn one. I believe on the left of Michael Monaghan is Francois Brou. Nope, I'm wrong. He is behind Michael. So that car next to him, your guess is as good as mine. So we have Eric Jones there in the 51, Greg Obadiah. There's Don Manning. Yeah, you've kind of got me. Is it Darren Treacle? No, it's not him. So I really don't know who that car is left of Michael Monaghan. See if we can get a number. Looks like 46. Alright, so we have the pace car in the pit, and green flag. There we go. Off go the Mustangs. Michael Monaghan making a little bit more of that start. It does look like that's Greg Obadiah to his left. So we're coming in to turn one. Clean so far. Let's take a look at the rear. Not seeing any major incidents. Our car's packing up as we expected. First through 6 is our Mustangs. We have Michael Monaghan in the number 5, Greg Obadiah in the 66, Eric Jones in the 51, Darren Treacle in the 70, Francis Brou in the 69, and Don Manning in number 92. 7th and 8th place are our 2 Volkswagens. We have Dave Fitzgerald in the 91 and Louis Alessi in the 43. Moving forward in our Miatas, we have Carter Weeding in the number 92, Louis Gaviano in the 31, David Alessandri in 16, Alessandrini, sorry, Paul Darling in the 155, Zach Rubin in 7, Anthony Carbone in 29, Sam Scott in 98, Kenneth Huzel in the 23 car, Mark Wood in 41, Gary Schink in the 25, Travis Trussell in the 140. We see Darren Treacle there falling back. Thomas Lee in the 24, Anthony Carbone Alan Claffey in the 39, Mike Kelly in the 56, Danny Cow in the 52, and Peter Phillips in the 27. There was some shuffling in the pack there. If I missed you, I apologize, but I will try to jump around tonight. We can see number 1 and number 2, Michael Monahan and Eric Jones. Michael with quite the lead here. Looks like about 2.5 seconds in front of Eric. Pretty decent lead after the first lap, but again, this is a 30-minute race, so it's anybody's game. Francois, they're in third, Don Manning in fourth. It looks like we have Greg falling back. Oh, Greg Abadia blowing his motor. Yeah, he's going to be in the pits for a little bit. There we have Dave Fitzgerald in the Martini car. You can see Louis Alessi right behind him in the Hot Wheels car. Right on his tail is David Alessandrini, and in the number 16 team car. So a little bit of a pace change here with our Miata leaders. Our largest group by far. So we have our Miatas here. We have David, who is actually up there with the Volkswagens. Now everybody kind of getting in there and mixing it up with Lewis. You see Carter in the number 22 car. I'm looking close at the front, just trying to see if there's any dents or scratches in that car already. I wouldn't put it past him, but maybe it's just the paint scheme. You can see Paul Darling in the 155 car. Louis Gaviano is Virginia's Miata. Luis, not the best of followers, having a little bit of lag tonight. There's Zach Rubin, the number 7. Sam Scott in the number 98 UMBC car. I believe there's usually 2 of those cars. There's the number 25, Gary Schenk. Travis Trussell in the 140. We do have to pop over to Travis's car. Not the PDX guy. Yes, you are not Travis Dixon. That was my mistake. I confused Travis Trussell with Travis Dixon. So if you were listening to our first broadcast, I kept talking about the PDX program that we have, and Travis decided to point out the fact that he is not Travis Dixon, and that he would be correct. There's Anthony Carbone in the 29, Allen in the 39. Looks like half his number's cut off there. It's okay. Thomas in the number 24, right behind Allen. Danny Cow in the number 52. Mark Wood in number 41. It's Kenneth in 23 coming out of the pits. Mike Kelly sitting in the pits. Looks like there's been a little bit of an incident there, and he's got to get things all fixed up. Peter Phillips, also I believe just kind of coming out of the pits, or had to pit because he's taking up the rear of the race. So if we go back to the front, we actually have quite the spread on our Mustangs here. Jump this back to some additional views. Michael and Eric are still running about 3 seconds apart, which isn't the craziest gap in the world, especially not with these type of cars. But Francois and Don are 8 seconds behind and 16 seconds behind the leader respectively. So really, in our Mustangs, currently the race is between Michael and Eric. There's quite a bit of a gap when you get to 3rd and 4th place. And here we have our Miata leader, still David in the number 16 car, but you can see Carter there trying to come out on his quarter panel there. And the 155 car, which is Paul Darling, also trying to make David a little bit uncomfortable here. Here we go into the brake zone for the turn. Ooh, man, these guys are really not giving up any room. Back there, we've got Zach Rubin in the number 7 car. Looks like these guys are being their own worst enemies, trying to kind of fight each other for position, and they've allowed David to just take a nice little bit of a breather there, get maybe a second and a half to 2 seconds in front of Carter. That's kind of what happens when you have too many cars trying to go through a turn at one time. You really can't maximize the racing line, and you wind up all slowing each other down. We are currently on lap 4. Just starting lap 4. And so far, it definitely looks like our Miatas are our closest race. Not to say that Lewis and David are that far apart. Lewis now in front in the Volkswagen. Looks like they've got Luis, who's mixing it up with them. There's David making a little bit of a run on Lewis. And I am hearing some of the racers talk about the lag we're getting from Luis, where he's kind of popping in and out and bouncing around the track. And that will happen if your connection's a little rough. We can see there Sam Scott getting in between Lewis and Dave. Kind of, sort of, forcing Lewis to take the outside. Let's take this into a nose view. We can see David chasing Lewis. Lewis getting a little bit of a lead there. This is about half a second. So if you want to get an idea, when we're talking about distances, how far half a second, 0.6 of a second is, it's pretty. It's closer than it looks. I guess at 128 miles an hour, a lot of things are closer than they look. And there we have one of the Mustangs, Don Manning, trying to catch up. Darren Treacle also right behind this pack. We'll see here how we do in this braking zone. I think that Mustang giving Lewis a little bit of something to think about going into that turn. Obviously he doesn't want to make contact. Trying to avoid it the best he can. Looks like David taking this turn quite wide. Might be, yep, that's what I figured. There was a Mustang on his left. Still causing Dave some trouble, and that's just going to give Lewis an advantage that he can pull out in front. In our race leader, we still have Michael Monahan about 6 seconds in front of Eric Jones, so not a lot of report up there. In our Miatas, we do have Carter and David battling it out. You see here Carter Whedon chasing David. I will say I kind of like this nose cam. It gives us, I think, a good perspective of speed. You get to see it a bit more from the driver's perspective. Of course, this being iRacing, and I can pretty much do whatever I want. We can look at it from the roll cage, or just from the actual driver's perspective here. And this is kind of neat. But while we've got a lot going on, you see the hands, you can see the RPMs and that type of stuff, which if you really want that, you know, we can always pop that up in the lower left corner. You can see what gear they're in, what RPM they're in. But I kind of really like this nose, because it really lets you sort of feel the speed of what's going on. It just feels fast. One of the most difficult things with race cars is to convey the speed. I mean, when you're on the track, it's an experience. But when you record it, you take photos of it, or even if you watch it from, you know, different perspectives in iRacing, it just doesn't seem that fast. I mean, all the time I have people say, you know, I would have thought 100 miles an hour would be a lot faster. It is. It's just hard to convey that in any way that isn't being in the car at the time you're going that fast. And even then, the driver, because you're in control, you don't really perceive the speed as much. But if you're a passenger, oh, it feels fast. It feels very, very, very fast. So, just like to point out, I don't see anybody in chat yet. If you're on YouTube and you want to say hi, feel free to do so. We're here. I'm watching. And I will respond. You can let me know if you hate the nose cam. Just wanted to try and see some of these guys chase each other down. You know, David not taking the corner the best there, but I think Carter's going to capitalize on it coming up here. He's able to gain a little bit of distance. Carter might be playing it a little safe. That's not the Carter I know. He's probably going to go for any chance he can get out in front. And there he goes, making a move, going to the inside. But he just didn't have enough speed. David's still going to be out in front. Carter having to tap the brakes there, bleed off a little bit of speed. Always sort of a difficult thing to do when you're in these momentum cars. The difference between a momentum car and other race cars is momentum cars don't have the horsepower to just gun it and pick up a ton of speed. So they really have to keep their speed up as they go through turns and navigate the course, and that's how they get around quickly, is by maintaining a high average speed. Whereas something like a Mustang, if they drop speed a little bit going through a turn, they can make up for it with the, you know, like 5 million horsepower that engine has. Whereas a Miata, I think, is running 4.5 or 5 horsepower, maybe. No, I kid. They're about 100 and, depending on the configuration, anywhere from 110 up to 145 to 150 horsepower. It really depends on the class of the car, the size of the engine, how it's set up, and all that stuff. All the classes have rules and the limitations and what you can do and that type of stuff. So as we see here on lap 8, Carter taking the lead in front of David. And actually, David falling back. That's Paul Darling out in front of David. You see there, Paul Darling, number 2 in the Miata race, chasing Eric Jones. We jump back to Lewis and David. You will see these guys are also really close. Lewis trying to come in on the inside of David, but just doesn't have the speed. Let's pop this a little bit out to our chase cam. Travis Dixon, hashtag I'm the PDX guy, in our YouTube chat. Yes, Travis, I was corrected after week 1, and I most certainly know who is who now. Plus, it helps that Travis Trussell, again, right here, not the PDX guy. But we'll go back to David, who's making a move on Lewis. What happened there, Lewis? I think he just had to overbrake because it was on the outside and there wasn't much he could do. Might have been a little bit of contact there. These guys, much like week 1, they are really competitive with each other. Unsurprisingly, another Mustang with banged up fenders and a bent rear wing flying by. These guys, I mean, these cars have a lot of power, but I think they're also magnetically attracted to walls, so that tends to be a problem. And they see the Mustang overdriving the turn. It's okay. He can get back on the track and keep going. To give you a class update, we have Louis Alessi out there in front leading David Fitzgerald for the VWs. Our first, second, and third for the Miatas is Carter Whedon, Paul Darling, and Zach Rubin in that order. And first, second, and third for our Mustangs are Michael Monahan, Eric Jones, and Francois Brew. No changes there. Michael Monahan, 12 seconds in front of Eric. Eric, 30 seconds in front of Francois. So, not expecting significant changes in that Mustang placing. However, here, things are definitely mixing themselves up. You can see the VWs getting spaced out a little bit as these Miatas get involved in the mix. Something that you traditionally will see in mixed class racing. Other cars from different classes who you're not racing against get in your race, and it actually causes the dynamics to change. It's not always bad for the guy that's in second place. It's often bad for the guy that's in second place, because as you see here, the cars get in between and it causes you to sort of space out. But I can tell you from actual racing that I have drifted off of higher performance cars, like ITA cars, which for us is a class that we race with. I race an RX-7, and I don't race against the ITAs, I race with the ITAs. And I've gotten in behind and gotten a draft off of an ITA car, which helped me catch up to the guy in front of me. I've also just, you know, often you'll try to set up to get past in the good spots, like on a straight, where an ITA car is overtaking me on a straight. Doesn't really affect my race. David paying a little bit of a penalty here. He got a slowdown penalty for cutting a turn. Lewis now a good distance in front of him. We'll go look at Zach chasing Carter down here. Zach in second place. But when you're in mixed class racing, sometimes you will get passed on like a straight, which doesn't really affect you at all, and then they catch up to the leader, and they're passing him through a turn or through something like a corkscrew or a carousel or something that requires a lot of maneuvering, and that forces him to slow down. And that actually gives the guys behind him an advantage to catch up. So there's a lot of dynamics in mixed class racing, and the smart racer will look for opportunities to essentially present a pass. If I want to get passed on a straight so I don't slow down, I'll try to make it very easy to pass me. This straight is like a mile wide, so anything can pass you. But you try to open up opportunities where you allow them to pass you in situations that are advantageous for you, and then hopefully the guy in front's not paying as close of attention, and it sort of messes with his race. And I can't say I've had several competitors complain after a race about getting passed and how that messed them up, and I constantly think to myself, well, we should have planned that pass better. You were the car in front. You do have some control over that passing situation. Zach just getting outdriven here. Our Miata positions now are Carter Whedon still in first, David Alessandrini in second, and Paul Darling in third. We still have Louis Alessi in front of Dave Fitzgerald for our Volkswagen race. At this point, he's about 8 seconds in front of Dave. He's got 3 Miatas between the two of them. So it's going to be a challenge for Dave to catch up. Michael Monahan, 14 seconds in the lead. Still Michael Monahan, Eric Jones, Francis. Sorry, folks, had to season there. Francois. I will say that the names have gotten far more interesting. My most difficult name used to be Khalil Nadermoff, and I think I actually kind of got that right the first time. And very proud of myself. And now I have a wide variety of names that have really presented interesting challenges as an announcer. Someone here cheering for DJ in the YouTube channel. Not entirely sure who DJ is, but you have a cheerleader out there. One thing to note as you see this driver bar at the bottom gives you details, their speed, their fastest lap, last lap, that kind of stuff. And when they talk about current position, they're talking overall. Here's David making a run on Carter, and he's in front as we go across the start-finish line here. It's not the end of the race, but that is the position we're in. And it looks like maybe Paul Darling right behind him. Yeah, here we have Carter right on the tail of David, with Paul Darling right on Carter's tail. Very close racing going on. We have in the back, we also have some racing going on here with Mark Wood and Alan Claffey. I think it's Claffey, so looks like Mark gonna be able to make the pass here on the straight. See if he holds it or if Alan's able to carry more speed through this turn. Looks like Alan over-braked on that turn. I probably wouldn't have applied as much brake there. If he would have taken that turn at speed, I think he could have definitely caught up. Looks like he might be paying a penalty though. Same place Dave Fitzgerald had to pay it. You cut the corner up there, and these track judges are just absolutely brutal about applying those penalties. Back up at the front, we definitely have the Paul Darling, Carter Weeden, David Alessandrini. I'm just gonna start saying David. I need to stop. I really do. Just first names, that will make things a lot easier. But here we go. We've got 3 wide going across the start-finish line. Here we have David in the middle, Paul on the right, Carter on the left. David probably hoping that Paul and Carter would take each other out. I know that's what I would be thinking in that situation. And it looks like David paying a penalty here. Unless these guys are just riding the brake going through that turn, there are some serious penalties going on coming through that corner. We jump up to the front. We got Paul with Zach bringing up 3rd place now. I don't have anything that really tells me my penalty time. I even know how long they've been on air, aka I've been focused on them while streaming. That's the on-air time. Paul just crossed a minute. He's at 1 minute and 10 seconds right now. But it doesn't give me penalty time. It does give me pit time. If they pit, well, yeah, it does. And we do have some guys that have spent some significant time in the pits. Currently out of the race completely, it appears that Mike Kelly, Gary Schenk, and Darren Treacle are out of the race, number 70, 25, and 56. All of those gentlemen not rejoining us. I'm just going to stay quiet and make this happen. Paul pulling out in front of Carter. Looks like Carter was backing off so that he could stay the line. a common thing to do when you have that situation, if you know you're not going to be able to get a good angle going through that turn, you might pay some sort of price for it. You back off just a little bit so you can stay on the racing line, keep your speed up. Hopefully coming out faster than your opponent, but it looks like in this case, Carter and Paul were pretty much even speed-wise coming out of that turn. Really kind of the big battle on the track now. Paul Darling, first place for the Miatas. Carter Whedon, second place. David in third place, and Zach in fourth. In our Mustangs, we have, no surprise, Michael Monahan in first, Eric Jones in second, and Francois in third. Also first, second, and third overall in the race. Being a mixed class racer myself in real life, I tend not to focus too much on overall position. A Miata should not ever beat a Mustang on a racetrack like this. One could argue if you had a professional Miata driver, he would beat an amateur Mustang driver, but that's not the point. The Mustang is a much faster car. In the straights like this, it should be pulling faster lap times. So the fact that they're the overall finishers is to be expected. Carter taking position back again over Paul. We still have, in our Volkswagen race, we still have Lewis out in front of David. We have a white flag, which means we are on our last lap. At least that is what the racing drivers are telling me. As you can see, you see what I see. I have no idea from my interface that we are on the last lap, but I will trust the drivers. If you want to know more about SCCA and WDCR, please check out our website, WDCR-SCCA.org. We will be launching a new website in the next 60 to 90 days. It is awesome. It is visual. It is cool. It has tons of great information. I will let you know, of course, when it goes live. And if you want to know more about these events, virtualmars.com. Just to let you know our schedule. Next Wednesday, 11/22, we will be back on Summit Point, Maine for a 30-minute MX-5 TDI Mustang race. So, as we cross the start-finish line, we should be beginning the end of our race with Carter Whedon in front of Paul Darling for the last lap. David 2 seconds behind Paul. So, he ain't that far away, but he is close. Monahan just took the checker. Congrats to him. First overall and first place in the Mustang group. And we are going to watch here Paul and Carter battle it out. And David getting into the mix, closing that gap. We'll see here as we go around the track. It'd be really nice to have a mini track map that told me where I was. That would be cool. Anybody knows where that is, feel free to let me know. So as we come up here, Carter in front, Paul in second. Oh, Paul making a little contact, and there David making some contact. These guys don't want to let off the gas, but all that's going to do is give Carter a little bit of a speed bump when you hit him from the rear like that. Coming out of this turn, this is our high-speed section here, folks, and it looks like, oh man, it looks like it is going to be very close. David is currently in second. We have Carter out in front, running position. David trying to pull some drag off of that, but it looks like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know. Oh, it looks I can't even tell, folks. It was too close. I can't even tell. What am I getting here? It looks like, I don't know. We have to go to the results. What do we got? We got Michael Monahan, Eric Jones, Francois Brew, and it looks like Carter Whedon, then David, then Paul. Wow. How far apart were we here? It looks like we were less than 4 thousandths of a second between Carter and David, if I am reading that right. No, I am not. 6 thousandths of a second. Math is fun, folks. And then between David and Paul, maybe, no, you can figure it out. It's less than 1/10 of a second. So, very close race there at the end. That was just awesome. It is nice to see. I think everybody likes to see races end like that. It's super fun. In our Volkswagen group, we had Lewis finishing first and David finishing second. So as we go through the results here, just kind of let you see everything. Amazing finish to that race. That is something I know I will be going back and watching. Just great. I mean, that's what you want to see. So congratulations to our race winners, Michael Monahan, Carter Whedon, and Louis Alessi. It was very close for those three guys. I think Louis only finishing how far in front? See here, just the +1 lap. I might be able to tell, but I can't. Because I'm getting the same readout on my tools. But yeah, very close. Again, I am Michael Root. I was your announcer for tonight. Thank you for coming out. Please check out our websites. And as always, we appreciate you watching, and have a wonderful evening and the rest of your week.